Hi, this is Darcy for Food for Your Life, Food for Your Soul. I'm with you again. Yes, I'm hanging out in my car in a parking lot, actually in between sessions at work. So I figured I would try to do a quick video on egg preservation. So just to kind of, talk to folks out there who this could apply to homesteaders who have an overabundance of your chicken eggs in the fall and spring and you don't know quite what to do with them. It could apply to folks who are looking to just preserve or do some long-term storage of eggs. This may apply for people who want to go camping and maybe want an easy way to have access to eggs without concerns for breakage. So I'm going to be reviewing a couple ways of doing egg preservation. The first one is going to be water glassing. Now, personally, I'm going to say I've not tried water glassing. I actually discovered this after we had gotten rid of chickens. So there was a time when we had chickens, and then my father-in-law decided to have a lot of chickens, and we had over 200 chickens. It was like a ridiculous amount of chickens. But anyways, he got to a point where he wanted to not have that burden, and he got rid of all the chickens, which kind of had me a little bit upset, and my husband a little bit upset, and I think my mother-in-law. Because we still, had to use for eggs, even though my father-in-law doesn't like eggs. But anyways, so all the chickens went gone, and then I've now had to deal with store-bought eggs. So, and it has been since then I've learned about things like water glassing and as a means of preservation. So I'll talk about that method first. Water glassing is essentially a way that you can preserve eggs anywhere from 12 up to 18 months, sometimes up to 2 years, depending upon environmental conditions. But you basically will take unwashed chicken eggs that still have the bloom on them and put them in some type of filtered water with pickling lime. And so you can get pickling lime usually at the store next to any of your other canning supplies. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think the ratios for the pickling lime are 1 ounce of pickling lime per quart of water. And so that would be a typical ratio, and you can use this in any size container. You just have to modify the amount of lime and water that you're using. And of course, this is preferred to be filtered water, non-chlorinated water that you would do this with. And so you would mix it together, and then you can store your eggs in a sealed container, something that is not exposed to oxygen. Some people use like half-gallon mason jars. Other people might use food grade plastic containers, like the 5-gallon plastic containers with a lid. And you would just basically carefully place your eggs in there. And then let's say if a cracked egg comes along, the rule of thumb generally is to try to just basically, I think you can still replace the whole lime water solution and put your uncracked eggs back, and they should still be okay. But I know that there are some people that are adamant, just toss it all. But I think people have been okay if they get rid of the cracked egg and just restart with a new solution, and they can put their eggs back in, and they should be just fine. So there are some people that want to do that method. And like I said, you have to make sure these are unwashed eggs. And that's because when a chicken lays an egg, there's a bloom that's on it that's like a protective coating that the egg can stay fresh for long periods of time in the environment. And if that protective coating is removed, then you can't necessarily store eggs this way, especially, I'm going to say, anything that's been sanitized. So anything that you buy at the grocery store, this is not the method for you. This is only for those homesteading types out there, people that have their own flock of chickens that they get eggs from regularly. When it comes to spring and fall, when the chickens tend to produce the most, this would be a preservation method to store eggs for the times of year when maybe the egg harvest is a little bit leaner, being winter when it's cold or summer when it's too hot. So that is the first method I want to talk about. Now, the second method of preserving. Now, this is something I just tried. I've seen a video on this before, but I wanted to try it myself. and it is dehydrating eggs. And so basically, to dehydrate eggs, you'd crack them open, whisk them like you would any type of scrambled egg, and then you would use a dehydrator. Now, I have a couple of Presto dehydrators, and I actually bought the fruit leather silicone tray that you'll see pictured here. And what I would do is, after I mix my eggs, I think my trays can hold between like easily 4 to 6 eggs, kind of depending upon the size of egg. But generally, rule of thumb, I'm going to say 5 eggs per tray. And then it takes a good 6 to 10 hours to dehydrate on the dehydrator, all depending upon, of course, temperature, humidity, could be factors, and the eggs itself. And so when you do this, you're going to look for a particular consistency where they are crackable and they're like, but there's not really much pliability in them, and you can tell there's not much moisture. It's just stuff that can easily crumble together. Now, about halfway through, you're going to have what looks like it's starting to appear that way, but if you pull off the top, you're going to see that there's still lots of liquid underneath. And so what I've done is usually break off that top layer and mix it up a little bit so that the air can circulate better, and try to dry the eggs a little quicker that way. And so then, of course, after this is all done, I get out my handy dandy coffee grinder and the particular bowl and top attachment that in my model, Mr. Coffee, that I use particularly for grinding up my dehydrated things or my herbs and spices, because I have a separate bowl and lid for my actual coffee. And so I'll put it in there, and then I'll grind it to a powder consistency. And what I typically do will then vacuum seal the eggs using a vacuum sealer for my mason jars, and then I can store them that way, basically to essentially remove the oxygen and put them in a sealed container. That way it can be shelf stable and last a while. And so you're kind of wondering, well, how do I use these dehydrated eggs? And so basically the ratio to reconstitute your egg would be about 1 tablespoon of egg powder per 2 tablespoons of water. Now you're going to have this mixture set for a while, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, to reconstitute the egg, to get rid of the graininess factor of the powder. So I'm going to say, generally, rule of thumb, 20 minutes, even a half hour should be really good to really kind of rehydrate the eggs. And then you can kind of use it like you would any other egg. You could use it in baked goods, make breads, cakes, cookies. If you want to just scramble it up for an omelet, scrambled eggs, quiche, whatever you choose to do, you would use it as you normally would in eggs. I'm just going to say you aren't going to have any, sunny side up or over easy options with that, because it's already scrambled. But anyways, it's a bad joke. But anyway, so this is a way that you can have eggs. I think this is hopefully a good go-to, especially those that are campers out there. Let's say you want to take eggs with you, and storing them in the cooler, that could kind of be a hassle because you're afraid it's going to get banged up, damaged, broken, smushed with other things that you have going in and out of your cooler, or using those little plastic egg cartons for camping that aren't really all that useful. This may be another alternative where you could take a dehydrated egg, maybe throw it in a silicone bag or some sort of plastic container that you can take out and use while you're camping. So that could be another use of dehydrated eggs. And this also too, let's say you have limited storage space, but you want to have a food reserve or a pantry reserve just in case of lean times. I mean, COVID kind of taught us that things can disappear on a grocery store shelf and we don't know when they're coming back. But let's say you decided that you wanted to stock up on your eggs, but let's say don't have the space for water glassing. This could be an alternative to that, and you can condense a lot of eggs in a small amount. I think I managed to get a dozen, and I still had room and I think I put them in a pint-sized jar. I still had room in the pint-sized jar, probably for a few more eggs. Might have been able to get at least 15 to 20 total eggs in that pint-sized jar once it's dehydrated. So it definitely is a way to conserve space if you have a shortage of space for a long-term food storage solution. So anyways, I think that's it, but it's a short little video. Hopefully I've given you a couple ideas on how to store eggs, and maybe I can also add a follow-up in terms of actually reconstituting the egg and tasting it and telling you what I think. All right, well, God bless and have a good day.